Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the Smallville Retrospective. We're on Season 2, Episode 3, Duplicity, which I don't understand the name, because you think duplicity, you think duplicate. That's nothing to do with the episode, but I don't know. Maybe duplicity has to do with Clark was leading two lives, basically. I don't know. But this is the episode. This is the episode where Pete finds out. Now, let me tell you, this was better than I remembered. I always remember this as being, man, it's the one where he finds out nothing really happened. This episode is actually not that bad. Oh, thanks, you said it. Actually worked pretty well in the series. So the plot here is that Pete, there's a guy driving down the road in a van, and he gets flipped over. Pete happens to be driving by, and he goes to, oh, I didn't turn this light on. There we go. Okay, he goes to see what's going on, and he sees the guy, but also finds Clark's spaceship. So the next day, he takes Clark out there to get it, and even though Clark keeps insisting to take it to his house, they end up taking it to Pete's house. Clark and Jonathan go later that night to take it back, only to find out somebody else has taken it. And when Pete goes to confront Clark about it, he's forced to tell him the truth. In the B plot, Lionel has come to Smallville to stay in the mansion of his son to get away from his physical therapy, or so he says. We're supposed to believe that he doesn't like, because his doctors are telling him, the braille will start to feel natural and all that stuff. And, he doesn't want to think that this could be permanent, Although, I'm still not 100% sure that he is completely blind at this point. Although, the way this episode goes, I think maybe he might be blind, or he's just acting really well like he's blind, which John Glover is doing, but I don't know, it's confusing. So, in a C plot, which I'm just going to get over with right now, Nell is seeing a new man in her life, Dean. No, not Dean Winchester. He was an insurance adjuster guy that Nell met, and they have been seeing each other for a few months now, I guess. It happened when the tornado hit. By the way, this is the first time, excuse me, it's the first time we've seen Nell, I think, since the episode where Clark and Lana almost kiss on the porch, and she comes out and stops them. I think that's like the middle of season 1. We don't get to see her much. She's in this episode, and she does have sort of a story this season that kind of goes with her leaving the show, I guess, but and it has to do with this Dean. She does reveal that Dean has proposed to her, and she says yes, and we don't really get more than that in this episode. Dr. Stephen Hamilton, played by Joe Morton, is back, and he is now starting to twitch just like Earl Jenkins was. He's a little more just, his hand is just doing this. It's not like the shaking everything. It's just his hand is doing that because of his prolonged exposure to meteor rocks. And he's the one who steals the ship from Pete's house. But I have to point out that the timing doesn't work to me. Because first of all, he goes to the hospital to see that guy who was driving the van. He pretends to be a regular doctor. He grabs the little thing. He's like, oh, I'm Dr. Hamilton. They told me that this, such and such. But then the guy realizes, you're the nut job driving me off the road. How he could tell who it was driving the car is beyond me, but, And so kills him with an overdose of, I don't know, morphine or something. And takes off after he finds out Pete Ross, because this guy knows that kid, Pete Ross. Yeah, he's the one. He saw it too. The spaceship. I don't know. And then the very next scene, we see Jonathan and Clark going to take the ship back from the shed, and it's gone. How big of a time jump was there for Hamilton to go and take that? Hamilton realizes that the octagonal, he keeps saying octagonal, it's octagonal disc that he found in the field the prior season goes to that ship. So he tries to get it back from Lex, but of course Lex doesn't know where it is, supposedly. Now, I'm going to make this bold prediction because I don't really remember fully, but I think Lionel has it somehow. I don't remember how he got it, but I think he has it. I think it ends up just in his vault, in his office in Metropolis, if I remember correctly. Or Lex has, maybe, I don't remember. But, it's someone's fault. Maybe Lex's fault? I don't know. Anyway, after confronting Lex, he goes to leave, which is where he finds Lionel, and he introduces himself to Lionel and wants to, because he's done with Lex. Lex has kicked him off this project. So he's trying to make a business deal with Lionel, trying to increase his funds and his funding. And he talks to him about this and shows him, has him feel there's an attack on disc. Lex has it. Pardon me. Been sitting overnight. It's not very good. He says that Lex has it, but when Lionel talks to Lex, of course, he says he doesn't have it. Has it. As far as we know, he doesn't have it, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, so like I said, Clark is forced to tell Pete the truth. I do like the line earlier when they're carrying the spaceship, and Clark goes, "Oh, that's heavy. Well, that's really heavy." And then it comes back here when he's forced to tell him the truth. He's standing there, and he's like, "Well, you took it. And we didn't take it. Somebody else took it. Blah blah blah. Why won't you tell me? I can't tell you." And then he goes to drive off, and Clark super speeds in front and holds the car so it can't move. And that's when he tells him the truth. They go to the storm shelter, and storm shed, whatever, and storm cellar. There it is, the storm cellar. And they're talking in there. I'm like, why are they talking in there? And then I realized, because I'm going to tell you out in the open about this so we could hear them. So they're in the storm cellar, talking about this. And Pete, he's very frustrated with this. He doesn't know how to deal with it. He won't let Clark touch him. He's looking at him weirdly, And on one side, you could say that they could have just brushed over this and had Pete accept it. But on the other side, it's not going to be so easy to just accept it. So, have him be like this is looking at him weird, stuff like that. It works. But later when he's talking to Chloe, Chloe's like, "Well, I heard you found a spaceship." Like, "Yeah, I found a spaceship. Even met an alien, too." "Really? What did he look like?" "He looked kind of like Clark." And she thinks he's just being sarcastic, but of course, he's not. But, yeah, so Hamilton shows up at Pete's house to look for the key, thinking it's there. But when Pete threatens to have whoever the ship belongs to deal with him, that's when he realizes he knows who it is, and he kidnaps Pete. And again, these scenes are played out like it happens right after each other, because we see this scene, it cuts to Clark's house, and that's when Clark confesses that he told Pete a secret, and I'm like, he hadn't told his parents yet. Okay. And then they get a phone call from Pete's mom, off screen, asking if they know where Pete was. And he's missing. That was... How much time goes? Because it's like, you cannot have one scene and then the very next scene something happens. Because this is the third time in a row now that I've seen this, right? First, well, that I've noticed it. In the first episode of season 2, Lex is at the hospital, and in the very next scene you have this fight between them, and he shows up and he shoots Nixon, right? Now, some time has passed. It sometimes passed more than these two last scenes, but still, how do you get to that fast? And then in this one, 2 episodes in the same episode, where you go from Hamilton being at the hospital and finding out Pete Ross may have the ship, to the very next scene, Clark and Jonathan showing up at Pete's house and it's gone. And now here, Pete has the altercation with Dr. Hamilton and he's supposedly taken. He's apparently taken. And then the next scene, his mom is calling because he's missing. And then Clark rushes to the rescue. Also, before this, between this, we get Clark and Lionel having a conversation, and Lionel mentions the spaceship to Lex. And so they're going to go check it out. But of course, I'm like, wait, I remember them being in this final fight. No, they're not. But Clark shows up and bursts through the door, and I went, the hell are you doing? Because, okay, first of all, back up a little bit. Hamilton has purified meteor rock, right? In a liquefied, at least. He's going to inject it. And he says that this will inject this into you, and it'll make my tremors look like a mild twitch. But Clark shows up, bursts through the door, and I'm sitting there thinking, the hell are you doing? He just saw you do that. Now, if this guy survives, you're going to have someone else who knows your secret. But of course, they write these people who know Clark's secret, who aren't supposed to know the secret, they write them in a way where either they hit their head and forget everything, or they're under some kind of mind control, so when they snap out of it, they don't remember anything, or this situation where they just kill them off. And it's getting very repetitive now, and we're only in the third episode of the second season, where they've done that, with Nixon, or with Phelan, or with now Hamilton. Anyone who finds out a secret either has to be in some sort of trance where they forget it afterwards because they were under their own mind control, or they die. That, and that sort of thing. And I can count who so far has seen Clark use his powers. We have Lana and Lex have both seen Clark use his powers, but they were under different circumstances because they were under some sort of control. So they either forgot, so they pretty much forgot. So, yeah. The whole Nicodemus episode was one where Lex found out, and then there was another one where Lana, it's just, I don't know. So, Clark uses heat vision to break the needle, the syringe holding the stuff, which I have an issue. That shouldn't have worked because the meteor rock was in it, but you can see the meteor rock's on the inside, so that's why it didn't affect it, but it shouldn't have worked. Although I think he does use it on meteor rock later, but it causes effects when he does. There's an episode of season 3 where he uses that meteor rock and he goes blind, I think. I don't know. Yeah, and Hamilton has like a mason jar full of the liquid. He's going to use it on Clark because he finds out that Clark it makes him sick. He's like, Clark, what's going on? Meteor rock makes me sick. And I already feel like they're using that meteor rock too much on him. Like, now this is it was in the first episode of this season. Last episode they didn't really use it, but then here they do, so it's like 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess, but still. I don't know. But, so, as Hamilton's going to do that, Pete hits him in the back of the head, causing him to drop the... So, no, here's what I want to... Tom Welling's overacting. It happens every time he's hit with Meteor Rock and he has to fall. He doesn't just fall. He falls onto something, knocking like that, knocking other stuff down around him. But usually it's done so more Meteor Rock can be knocked around him. Because there's one time there's like Meteor Rock's not a thing, and he feels it, and he falls down, and he hits the thing, and it falls around him and makes him weak. Here, I don't think it necessarily does that, but when Hamilton goes to hit him, Pete knocks him over it. The thing flies out, and it doesn't smash, but it lands, maybe because he goes like this, and he falls down, and it drips on his forehead, causes him to tweak out, and they go to leave, and Clark's like, no, we have to save him. And I'm sitting there going, no, let him die, he knows your secret. Although it doesn't matter because he dies. So, Clark does explain this later by saying, it doesn't matter. I'm going to help someone no matter who they are, because that's his thing, I guess. But Hamilton dies, and they go back when he had the scene with them talking, Pete's going to keep the secret, and I think this was a great idea, because Pete wasn't really doing anything. Most of my reviews from the end of last season, beginning of this season was, Pete is like 1 or 2 scenes and there's really nothing else for him to do. Now he's going to be more into the episodes because he now knows more. So I think he'll be used more. There's a line where Jonathan, I don't remember what it was, says something, and I think what my father's trying to say is welcome to the family. Like, it's a lot of responsibility or something like that, and it's going to be very hard to do that. And then we have Lex and Lionel going to Hamilton's lab and finding nothing. But, of course, Lionel says he's going to stay in Metropolis, and stay in Smallville, because give him something to do. And this is where I'm very confused on whether or not he's actually blind. Because I've always thought that he was never blind, and he's been using that to spy on his son. And I feel like it could have went like this. I know I was going to wait until the reveal, but it could have went like this. He had his surgery, and the doctor said, oh, surgery went well, you're perfectly fine. I was worried because I thought there could be blindness. And there is no blindness. So he pays off the doctor. So he gets an idea of, if Lex thought I was blind, I could get away with stuff. So he pays off the doctor to help write a diagnosis that he's blind, and even pays off these physical therapists to tell Lex things. So he's not really blind, but he's using that to his advantage to sneak around and stuff. I don't know. It's very iffy, because I'm not exactly sure if it was true for a certain point in time or if he was lying the entire time. I don't know. But, good stuff happens later on in the season. But, and then I feel like there's a Lana scene at the end or something. No, it's a basketball scene. They're playing basketball, and Pete's like, so you've been holding back this whole time? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, come on, give it to me. He's like, come on, you don't want that. And so then he does the super dunk and does, and it shows you now Clark has someone to talk to. So this was a really good idea to do that. And this episode's not that bad. I'll be giving it 3.5 Superman logos out of 5. It's not that bad. I think it's better than the last one, but it's, I could say 3.75. I guess it's 3.75 Superman logos out of 5. It's a little bit better than that, but then the previous episode. But yeah, and we're getting into another one of my favorites next. Red. Yes, look forward to that. So what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave a comment, so much like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.